let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, in terms of what I'm playing in relation to Pino's parts,
Yeah.
how do you feel that these parts link and intertwine?
So for me, and this is something that like I'm going to reference within the transcription now, because I think to see the detail, that's the key. So is it fair to say that this is really a kind of like a 2-bar pattern on drums?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a 2-bar pattern. Now, when you look at the bass playing, and this is something that's very typical of Pino, he will play sort of sections, 4, 8, 16 bars, whatever, but it's the variation he plays within those that creates the interest to the playing. And this is like a masterclass in that. Every bit has a question, as you've said, and an answer. And the answers, whilst they can be very similar, they're still different, and that creates the energy. So when I look at the question, that's what I'm going to think about first, is what was the question? And for me, the question is beat 1 of everything. So at any point, we're going to go from bar 5 here. Look at beat 1. There's 2 options that Pino will play. He'll either play 1 and, or 1 and-a. Those are the questions. Everything else becomes an answer. So let's just quickly play from the verse section. And all I'm going to do is just play beat 1. You play exactly the whole part so they can hear that. And just listen to how the bass, even with just 1 beat, is already beginning to build the groove.
Slightly slower.
A bit slower, yeah. For me, that's where it all begins, okay? Because if you don't sit that question forward first, the answer becomes irrelevant. The answer is the tricky bit, because that's where the detail comes in. But for me, it's hearing that very first part. So I build from that bit, beat 1. So if I'm just going to take bars 5 and 6, which is, that's a really good reference to the whole track. Have a listen to the first beat and what happens afterwards, because that's the question, and then listen to the response. You can just give me time in the background, that'd be great. So this is from bar 5.
3, 4.
Here it's question, and then I say something, question, and here is the answer. It's that kind of thing. And when I'm learning bass lines, and I'd say this to students all the time, sing what you're playing, because even if you're not a singer, it doesn't matter. In terms of the way that we learn, you want to internalize what's going on, because when you get lost, and we all get lost when we play, it's not a problem. If you're singing along in your head and then singing lyrics and stuff like that to keep your place, you start to connect your hands and what's going on the instrument to your head, and that cycle is where you start to really learn what's going on. So I'm always singing in my head. I'm not just thinking playing, I'm thinking boom boom, da, 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 and I could do that, and that allows me to internalize those rhythms as well.